Welcome back to the 615 Locker Room Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan, with my co host, Matt, or Uncle Matt. And it's been a hell of a week to be a Nashville Soccer Club fan. We did the unthinkable. And I don't even really want to talk about Charlotte right now because we figured. But we went to Estadio Azteca and we kicked ass. We showed out, and it was an amazing performance. There was some interesting things that was happening throughout the game with stoppages. Matt, I mean, what as a bigger fan of like world soccer, I mean, just what does this win mean for an MLS club like Nashville SC?
Yeah, I think I was honestly like, we kind of talked about it on the previous episodes, kind of building up to the match. I was probably trying to be a little bit more optimistic than I really was, just because I really was like just given my, background with how difficult it's been for the US men's national team to ever do anything there. Just I was like, there's just probably no chance Nashville SC wins there. And I didn't actually know up until this match that no MLS team had ever gotten a result there. I mean, it makes sense because I mean it's only a handful of times it would have happened in this competition. But I was a little bit surprised by that knowledge that it just literally has never happened before. That an MLS team has never won there before. So uh, it was literally pretty much impossible going in. Like there's been a lot of stuff from like Club America fans. They're almost like happy we beat them, but they're kind of like justifying it like, oh, we're terrible this year, but you beat us. Hopefully, this wakes the team up, and the coach gets fired, and all this other stuff. And it's kind of like it's still history. I mean, we went down there. I mean, it doesn't matter what they're doing now. I mean, like they had every advantage they could possibly have going down there. And I mean, just the game itself. I mean, I thought if we were gonna win, usually when you have that daunting of an environment, that daunting of a situation, just across sports, not even soccer at all. It's usually it has to be kind of like a scrappy kind of
Hmm.
pull yourself by your bootstraps underdog performance where you just like you hold on for dear life and you maybe steal the win somehow, and that wasn't the case in this game. Nashville SC over the course of both legs really was pretty clearly the better team, I thought, between the two clubs. Take out that last 15 minutes when it's pretty much just all hands on deck defending, and Club America's throwing everything they can at us to try to get the goals they needed to get back into the game. The first 60, 50 minutes, it was pretty well balanced. They maybe had one or two chances that were a little bit better than the chances we were creating, but, we were not struggling to keep possession. It wasn't like we were just like, parking the bus or sitting deep and trying to counterattack. It was a good back and forth match between two teams that were pretty, fairly evenly matched. And Nashville SC just had that little extra something that Club America couldn't muster together. The goal, like, I didn't even mention this before in like any videos or whatever, like, but like I got up, that game was like 10:30 local
Yeah.
time, which I guess would be like 11:30 for you, which is even crazier depending on what part of the world you're in. But like, I got up to go to the bathroom. I come back and Hani Mukhtar scored at
Yeah.
halftime. I actually missed the goal live because I went to the bathroom. I was like, can I watch the rest of the game? Should I just turn the game off? Because apparently, like, it's one of those situations where I'm like, I might be the problem. Like, I was out of the room when all this happened. I should do I come back to it? But then, you know, even from there, we kept pressing, we kept,
Hmm.
attacking, kept going for it, had a few more chances to even score over that. And it was really not until, like I said, like the last 10, 15 minutes when it kind of became, batten down the hatches, hold down the fort. We know they need two goals. We don't have to like do anything crazy to get ourselves into trouble type of situation. So all that to say, the craziest part about it, first ever MLS team to go down there, get the win. Didn't realize that was the case. A huge achievement. And we did it convincingly. It wasn't like a fluke. It wasn't like a
Yeah.
scrappy, crazy, fluky upset. It was, I think anybody who watched, especially if you watch both legs together, would say Nashville SC deserved what they got. They go through. They were the better team over two legs. And that's one of the beautiful things about playing two legs in soccer is that, it's kind of like other sports where you play the 7 game series is like you kind of, there's not, it doesn't leave much doubt when you kind of do it like that. NFL, most of the time the better team does win, but sometimes just the wrong team gets hot or
Yeah.
there's a crazy turnover or something insane happens and it's a 1 game series. But the two leg ties in soccer, the multi game series in like baseball, basketball, hockey, you're almost always going to have the better team going through. And I think most people could look at this and say that was the case here. That Nashville SC was definitively the better team, and to be in the final four of Concacaf Champions Cup is like I don't know. I ever would have thought that would happen. Like going back to like whatever it was, 2018, 2017, when they first announced we're getting an MLS team. It's like just happy to be here. Really was kind of my
Yeah.
mindset when we first got the team, and now we're putting our stamp on the continent, making ourselves one of the teams that's kind of thought of and in the mix for the biggest stuff to do in this situation. So it's huge result, one of the biggest in club history, and just I'm literally still buzzing from it today, even 4 or 5 days later, whatever it is now.
Yeah, it was awesome to see. Awesome. I mean, just like this whole tournament run, really. I mean, I feel like everyone has kind of even the fans. We've been like, you know, we got tough matchups with Miami starting, and then Club America, who like historically we've kind of been challenged against, I guess. And just awful fan bases both from both sides having to deal with that. So it's made it really entertaining that it's been kind of struggle bussy in a way. And also, the payoffs of watching all the fans backpedal once they do lose is really, really sweet. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
you mentioned the terrible fan bases. It was kind of funny that I think in both rounds, like every single other MLS teams fans were rooting for us against Miami. And I think, just seeing some of the discourse online and Twitter and other places, it seems like every Liga MX team
hmm
fan of every other club was rooting against Club America. Like they all hate Club America. Everybody MLS hates Inter Miami. It's not like a SEC thing where like sometimes you root for the team from your conference to get over the other teams. It's like, nope, we hate Miami. We want Miami
yeah.
gone. Nope. Yeah, the League MX teams like, nope, we hate Club America. We want them gone. And like we're like now a hero of Mexico because we took out the evil empire.
It's been Nashville SC versus like the common enemy for the last two rounds. Um,
Hmm.
and it's awesome that we get to take down these Titans, which they both have had bad seasons and they're in weird spots. We've mentioned that. So we aren't beating a full squad, but we're still beating a squad, which is great. Um, I give props to all the Nashville SC fans that made the travel down there. I'm sure that environment was interesting and not the most welcoming. Um, we s-
Brave. They were brave to go down there. Like I don't know that that's a place I would be going to as an away fan.
I yeah, and I mean, obviously we got to bring up the homophobic chants that
Mhm.
was being done. We had a little bit of a stoppage of time. I've seen the thing. I couldn't really hear it from my end. But apparently it was not. It should have been canceled. The game should have been called off probably because I think that they like had to talk about it multiple times, but they only actually gave one warning or something like that. Did you see any more insight on that? I couldn't hear it from my point of view.
Yeah, I never saw like what the official reports were from the referee or the match report in terms of how they judged it, but like the protocol that's been put in place, and I don't know if I think this I don't know if this has to be a CONCACAF protocol because they're the kind of overseers of the tournament. There's just been a
Hmm.
similar thing in international tournaments that CONCACAF has hosted where it's supposed to be first time it happens, and you know I always kind of hate to lump all Mexican fans in together, but it's 100% coming from the Mexico games. Like there's not
Yeah.
nobody's the issue's not popping up in Honduras games to my knowledge and stuff like that. So happens a lot in the national team games. Uh, I don't know if it's as common in like other teams, with like Toluca or Cruz
Hmm.
Azul. I don't know if their fans are doing it, but obviously it is a Club America issue where you know for people who aren't familiar with the situation, it's basically a homophobic slur that they have in Spanish, and anytime a opposing goalkeeper is taking a goal kick, especially if it's on the side where like a big chunk of like the supporter section equivalent fans are, it's like oh racial slur or not racial slur, homophobic slur right when he kicks the ball, and so for a long time it was kind of like they didn't really have a formal way to deal with it. Like I can remember like years of watching U.S. men's national teams games, and it's just like everybody kind of going, this is ridiculous. What are we doing here? What are we doing
Yeah.
here? And like finally, like it's only I'm pretty sure it's only semi recently that they've added this quote unquote protocol where first time it's happened, I believe it's supposed to be like just kind of like a quick stoppage. Referee basically stops the game. The warning kind of goes up on the screen. They kind of announce this is the warning. This cannot happen again. Second time, they're supposed to like basically take players off the field, basically halt the game, kind of do like a full, more outright stoppage of the game. Basically, like saying, "Hey, we're leaving the field.
Hmm.
You got a cool down period. We come back and restart. It can't happen again." And the third time it's supposed to happen is it's supposed to be abandon the match. Game's over.
Yeah.
Abandon the match. And usually in situations like that, from a referee perspective, if you abandon the match, like sometimes it depends on the competition. Sometimes it kind of falls onto the competition to make a ruling on exactly how to judge that. But typically, if you abandon the match for something that the and you can determine which team, whether it's fans, coaches, players, which team caused the match abandonment, that team is going to be basically told as a forfeit and loss. So it's a
Yeah.
situation where we were up, we were winning, so it was what it was. But if they'd been doing that and they were up 2-0 and the referee did decide to go all the way and abandon the match, it could have reversed it and been a forfeit for them. By the pure letter of the law, the pure rule of the thing, it should have been a forfeit for them, even though we were up winning. We were should like because they did it like 20 more times, and I think in like some of the comments I've seen like on my live stream I did right after the game, and then I think I've seen another where like I think the kind of thing that they try to get around it is there's two different words. There's one that ends in an O,
Hmm.
which is the homophobic slur, and there's one that ends in an A, which is more of like equivalent of saying like bitch, apparently. And so like if you say them, you've got 100 million people saying it. Maybe you can kind of go, oh, we said the A one, not the O one, because
Yeah.
I've heard people say that's they're doing the A one. It's like they've been doing this for 50 years. We know what they're doing. It's like
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
like whatever. But the thing I mentioned in my live stream is like I don't think it should be the referee on the field's decision because that's too big of a decision
That's
for
a crazy
the
one.
match official to make. Like you should have like a CONCACAF official or a UEFA official or a FIFA official or whatever level competition it is, who's there who can kind of step in and say, "Enough's enough. We're abandoning this game." Because I mean, really, it's been going on forever. They've put this protocol on. It's still going on. It's going to go on until somebody does the real severe punishment and does like the real final straw kind of punishment. And like I said in my live stream, like maybe it's just me being a referee myself. Like I would not be. I can abandon like a high school match, like where like some dickhead parent is screaming at me and the crowd won't shut up, and I don't give a shit about that. But it's like
Yeah.
I sympathize with the referee who's in a hugely important, competitive, high level match where the 80,000 fans, money, huge levels of money on the line for teams advancing and things like that. So
Hmm.
it's a lot different of a situation than anything I've ever been in. But at the same time, that's why I
Yeah.
think it shouldn't be the referee on the field's decision to go, we're abandoning this match. Somebody's got to step in and from like the higher level and be the one that does the hard thing, makes the hard decision, in my opinion. But yeah, it kept happening, and obviously it kept going, and it's what it is. What it is. We won
Yeah.
the match. We shut them up. They'll have to go do it for like some while they compete for mid-table matches in League MX the rest of the season. So let them have their little fun.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. I think that's I mean, what like it's just gonna be scary as a ref because I mean, if you if you call off and abandon a match that size, I mean, you're gonna be under a microscope for whatever. Like they're gonna really make sure you made the right call, which is scary one because sometimes as a ref you're gonna mess up. Um, and then like you said, it's just that's a huge decision. That there should be some better way of doing it than like one ref or whatever it is. But yeah, we got the win. It was great. I'm super excited. We go against Tigres next, or I think that's how you
Hmm.
pronounce it. They
Yep.
just won their series against Seattle. Uh, they're apparently in sort of the same boat of Club America, not really a hot season. Um, I mean, I, I think the first game we get a 0-0 draw, and then we win the second leg. I
Yeah.
think just going through history. I mean, that wouldn't be a bad bet. Uh, how far do we have to go, Matt, for you to be like, okay, we could turn in switching the thing from like I'm hoping we get out of this leg to I think we can win this.
I mean, realistically, like I mean, we're at the point where I think we could win it now because I mean, you get this close where it's basically
Mhm.
2 games away from the final, and then you get to a final and anything can happen because that's the one where it's just one game and anything can happen. So I mean, we're to the point we can win it, and I think like you kind of mentioned, Tigres, a lot of similarities to um, Club America. Like I did some quick research on them. I'm sure I'll do more before the actual matchup, but they're right around the same spot in the table in Liga MX. It looked like they scored maybe a few more goals. Obviously, they put up more goals across their 2 ties with Seattle than what we've been doing. But obviously,
Hmm.
we look like we have a pretty, which is kind of one of the crazier things about this like last couple of weeks, the season in general is like there's been so much talk about like the way BJ has opened up the attack and changed the way we approach things and like we control games, we attack, we attack, we attack, and like we sneakily have like the best defense in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
tournament, the best defense in MLS. Like I think we've only given up. I don't have we even given up. I think we gave up the 1 goal in Miami.
Hmm.
I don't. I don't think did Ottawa. I don't know if you can really take anything away from the Ottawa games, but obviously we shut out Club America over the 2 legs. So I mean, MLS we haven't given up that many goals in competition. So quietly our defense. Everybody's been celebrating Maxwell Daisy and Palacios, but I don't think we've really fully looked at it and gone, yeah, we've got people that are playing really good, but the results, the statistic, the most important statistic there is giving up
Yeah.
goals, and we're not doing that at all. So, if our defense continues to be that locked down, we can go against anybody. The other side of the bracket looks a lot tougher than our side. I mean, LAFC is probably one of, if not the best team in MLS right now. Toluca seems like they're kind of running away with Liga MX, and they're pretty
Hmm.
dominant in that league this season. So a little bit tougher on that side of the bracket, but I mean, Tigres, another matchup where you kind of look at some things and go, could we do it? It's another stadium where I don't think an MLS team has ever won, but it doesn't quite have the same level of history that Stadio Azteca does. But it's another tough road game, but they seem to be a little bit more susceptible to being scored on than maybe
Hmm.
Club America was because they gave up some goals to Seattle. Seattle fought back into it and maybe had a shot to go through. They just came up a little bit short. So it'll be interesting. I'm sure we'll talk about it a lot more in future episodes when we get a little closer to that tie. But I mean, I think we're at a point where you can. It's not like I said. It doesn't seem to be fluky. It doesn't seem to be just
Yeah.
plucky underdog kind of scrappy upsets. It seems like we're going toe to toe with these teams and getting through. So and I mentioned this in a tweet after I didn't even think this didn't hit me, but like the bigger thing that I think is evident of how just the fact that we're a good team and we are literally competing in this competition with everybody else is in the past, like MLS teams that have gone deep into the CONCACAF Champions Cup have almost had to like sacrifice the MLS season and just say,
Yeah.
we'll come back to MLS when the time comes, when this tournament's over. Like I looked it up because I was like, Seattle's the only MLS team that's ever won the tournament. So I was like, well, what was their MLS season like? They missed the playoffs. They didn't even make the playoffs in MLS the season they won CONCACAF Champions Cup because they basically dug themselves such a hole by only focusing on CONCACAF Champions Cup. So the fact that not only are we into the semifinals of CONCACAF Champions Cup, but at the same time we're on the top of the Eastern Conference and only 2 points behind at the top of the Supporter Shield race is kind of like I think the evidence is starting to stack up. This isn't like just a
Yeah.
kind of the Tim from a Club and Country famous phrase, small sample size. I think we can start to really say Nashville SC is like legitimately not only a good team, but one of the best teams in MLS and one of the best teams in all of North America because we're in the top four for that tournament, which is determines that. So I mean, I think we're at the point where we can start believing it's possible because I think that if we were to make it to the final, those 2 teams, like I said, going to be a degree tougher than anything we've seen so far. But at the same
Yeah.
time, anything can happen in a 1 match shootout, and I think we're proving that we're right there. But we haven't even said this. We did it without Sam Surridge. That's maybe one of the
Oh yeah.
like most underrated things about it was our main attacking option, our number one goal scorer, doesn't play like late scratch, hamstring
Hmm.
injury, misses the match, and we still go through. So come April 28th when we have that first leg against Tigres, we got Sam Surridge back fit and firing. Whole another level to the team potentially.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. We had Warren Madrigal. He got to kind of take place of Sam. Didn't really offer a whole lot. Wasn't really getting like a ton of looks. I know Hani shrugged him off a couple times. That kind of annoyed him. like visibly annoyed him, which if someone's gonna take Sam's spot, they're gonna get annoyed when they don't get looks. I think that's a little on character. But yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think now, I mean, I was super scared for Miami, obviously, and then pretty nervous about the things I was hearing about Club America. But at this point, I think we've kind of shown that we're ready to do what we need to do, and I'm excited to see the rest. Kind of looking a little bit more domestically, the Charlotte FC game that we had, Eddie Taxeth finally opened up his bank account. We got it was a banger goal. I mean, it was it was so magical. I made a tweet and I was like, it's just he is gone out on the field, and it seems like he's given it his all. He's been such a hard worker, kind of, and in the Maiden Gold series and stuff, he seems like a true like heart of the team. So he's really deserved it, and I'm glad that he finally got that. Um, I think it also is a bit important that Yazbek also scored that night and assisted on that goal, just because those two seem so closely intertwined. And obviously, we talk about them together in the midfield a lot, coming from the same league, playing against each other. I think it was just a bit storybook how they both contributed in that game, which was it was great to see. It was so we've been waiting for that, and we finally got it, and it was super good. I was happy to see how that match was written out.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. There was like a little funny wrinkle from the Eddie goal that kind of played into the subsequent match against Club America, where at one point he kind of had a similar kind of ball fall to him a little bit out, and he kind of ripped a long distance shot, and it was close. It wasn't on frame like that one was. And the commentator in the game went, "Oh, Addy Seth, we know he's got those type of long distance bangers in his locker." And then there's some people posting in one of the Nashville SC discords that I'm in that were like, he's done this one time, and all of a sudden, like we're like, oh, it's this is just his thing. He
Yeah.
does this all the time. It's like it's exciting, but yeah, it was. I think that was like a moment all Nashville SC fans have been just like waiting for. Like I know there's been a couple of home games where like he's had similar like ball falls from. It's like oh Eddie, and it just either goes wide or it bounces off somebody gets the block in. So for him to finally get it. Uh, Awesome, and like that was another one like that whole game just similar back to the Columbus game where we rotate, we rest a lot of players, and we go out and probably more impressive than the Columbus game because Charlotte I think is fourth in the East. Really tough team. They're missing Wilfred Zaha, but I think he's kind of seems like he's on the downside, like both in terms of
Yeah.
like just wanting to be there. Like I think there was some stuff the week building up to the game where like his fiance was posting stuff like only like 2 more months in Charlotte. It's been a great time because like I think he's in a weird spot where he's got like a loan deal that is like based off like his European contract.
Hmm.
So his loan deal technically expires in June, which is like middle of the season, but it seems like
Hmm.
it's trending toward him not being there. But they still got like a lot of good players even without him, and they had obviously a lot of good chances, put us under some pressure late, but to be able to kind of rotate, rest everybody, get another result on the road against a very tough team. Um, like I said, to be able to do what we're doing in MLS while also doing what we're
Yeah.
doing in CONCACAF Champions Cup is, very very impressive. And honestly, like retroactively now, going back to the one loss we have against Chicago, that suddenly doesn't look so terrible because Chicago is right behind us, second in the East.
Yeah.
It's early days. Will that hold on? But suddenly it's like, oh, our only loss is to the team that's second place in the league to us. So maybe
Yeah.
that wasn't as bad of a disastrous. Oh my God, the walls are caving in moment that it kind of felt like it in a certain way at the time. So yeah, super, super excited about just the whole season. I mean, everything just is coming up Nashville SC, and it's just like I think we're all kind of a little bit waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like
Yeah.
please let us
Yeah.
keep this going. Like let's not have that bad stuff drop. It's I mean we got to enjoy it though. We got to enjoy it while we have because this is going to be a very bizarre season for MLS because with
Hmm.
the Concacaf Champions Cup has got about a little over a month left. Even if we if we make it all the way, I think the final is like May 17th, May 30th. I can't remember what it was because there were some people posting where there's a scenario where we play like LAFC twice in 2 weeks because we play them in MLS competition
Hmm.
right around the time that the Champions Cup final would be. So that's around the end of May. So really, it's only got about a month left. Then we got some more MLS going on, obviously. Then there's going to be a break for the World Cup. Then we come back. Then there's going to be Leagues Cup and a break for that. And then there's going to be more MLS. So it's going to be a very weird season. Like by the time we get to the end of the MLS season, we might have like 20 different players than what we have right now because it's going to
Yeah,
just be chaos and craziness. And like I've said it a million times, like I am just like seeing the signs. Patrick Yazback is just like putting his name on the market. Like people have to be like taking awareness of him over in Europe and stuff like
yeah,
that. And if he goes with Australia to the World Cup and gets to kind of put himself on a stage there too, he could be the guy that we get a big fee for come summertime. And it'll suck. I hope Mike Jacobs is already like, making contingency plans because you
yeah,
kind of talked about it with his partnership with Eddie. He kind of is the engine guy for Nashville SC right now. Like when he plays, I,
yeah,
I think, Eddie didn't play very good against Chicago. I think you can directly track that to there was no Patrick Yazback in that, at least for the first like hour of that game.
yeah.
Matt Cochran, he's still 19, 20 years, whatever. He looks pretty solid when he's playing with Yazback. Eddie looks
Hmm.
pretty solid when they play Yazback. You take Yazback out of that mix, you still get good stuff, but they're both a little bit of a dip on form for both of them. So like Yazback is the key guy, and he's the guy that I'm like either give him the biggest contract in National SC history to lock him down, or start lining up replacement options because I think people are going to be coming for him sooner rather than later.
Yeah, that's I was kind of thinking about that earlier. I mean, a lot of like, I mean, there's probably interest in about all of our starting guys. I mean, it, if you need that piece on your team, we're not a bad place to look. Um, so a lot of our great players, Hani Mukhtar, I guess Espinoza, you could throw on there, um, Palacios even. They're getting old, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something to kind of keep on the watch list. And then all of our younger guys are doing so good that they could, go up a league in competition and probably still do fine. So it's one of those things where you got to kind of keep an eye out on the squad and what they plan on doing in the front office because there's a lot of possibilities to change. Uh, or we might want to run it back next year with the same squad and just throw out a lot of money. I don't know, but I can see I could see a argument to not fall in love with the current players just because there's a very high likely chance either way, top or bottom, that they're gonna move in some format. Hell,
Yeah, it's kind of like a big macro level looking at like the structure of National C.
mm-hmm,
Mike Jacobs, the general manager, team president, has said it. We're never going to be a team that's going to spin the way like Miami's, the LA's, the New York type teams
yeah,
spend. We're always going to be a team that like tries to maximize some young players, sell them on, get big fees, but then reinvest that into the team. So, that's kind of the structure of Nashville SC. And that's what makes me kind of, hopeful that, when a Patrick Yazback gets a move back to Europe, when a Maxwell Daisy, I'd be shocked if he does not end
yeah,
up getting another shot at a bigger team in Europe than, where he came from in Norway. I have a feeling Mike Jacobs has got contingency plans, and
yeah,
I think we got to put trust in him because he plucked these guys out of obscurity. Like who had heard of Patrick Yazback before he came here and started bossing midfield? Maxwell Daisy, like I think we had a pretty good feeling about him just because when we signed him, that's all his whole entire fan base was like, "You guys got a good one." Like he's our best player, and stuff like that. But like
mm-hmm,
Yazback, Tagzeth, they were kind of a little bit more off the beaten path. Like they weren't as like they were pretty successful in that Norwegian league that Mike Jacobs has just been like mining from like it's an oil
yeah,
field or something like
yeah,
that. But like they weren't like they weren't necessarily like guaranteed home run hitters. So I have faith in him that if when the time comes when those players get cycled out, we'll get good fees for them. We'll
mm-hmm,
reinvest those fees back into the team, and he's got plan ABC lined up of okay when Patrick
yeah,
Asbeck goes. I got this midfielder I found in like the third division in Sweden. I've got this center back that I'm looking at in like Belgian second division. We're going to just restock and go again. So
Yeah.
that all hopefully is a little bit further down the line. And but
Yeah,
like we're
yeah.
talking just big picture MLS stuff. But yeah, I think it's I mean it's one of the things that's like it's exciting and a testament to how good we're doing so far is that we're already talking about like oh
Yeah,
god
yeah.
all our players are going to get bought up. It's like that's just like a testament to how good the season's been and how good Nashville SC has been.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people too aren't really talking about which he's just got here, and I know it's a bit different, but if we keep going the way we're going, I mean, BJ could have a lot of jobs that he wants.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's just something that's part of doing great. Like it's awesome to do great, but then you also got to think, well, what's going to happen being in
Hmm.
a league like MLS? I would say
Yeah.
it's not a lot of these younger players' final destination, probably.
Oh yeah.
Or at least go test out, like you said, in Europe or something. Who knows? I don't really want to focus on that because it's scary, and we need to enjoy and live in the moment. Um,
Yeah.
Nashville SC versus Atlanta United this Saturday. Um, it's Atlanta. We were supposed to beat them last year and we didn't. Uh, so but I think this year they're just bad off. I'm expecting a pretty easy win. Um, I have a good friend who is like also kind of in the same boat as me, where he's just like an MLS sicko. He doesn't watch Premier League, doesn't watch any other league, and he's a big Atlanta United fan. And I've been texting him like, "You ready? Are you ready for this, man?" He's like, "I don't even want. You can't even like talk to me. It's so bad. Enjoy your team. I want to kill myself every week." I'm like, okay, dude. So, um, I'm just not really expecting much.
Yeah, Atlanta's so bizarre to me because like they were it was probably like them in Seattle that were like the gold standard of like how do you launch an MLS franchise? Like
Hmm.
what is the best way to be an expansion team? Because like they were both, I think both them and Seattle, and I like LAFC too, but I mean that's kind of a cheat code when you're LA
Yeah.
team exactly. But and Miami obviously same kind of cheat codes sort of thing. But like when you're kind of like a smaller market, smaller budget team, how do you launch a franchise? How do you launch an expansion team and like be successful right out of the gates? Seattle and Atlanta both won league championships pretty early on in their existence. Atlanta, for their first 2 or 3 years was consistently one of the better teams in the league, and then just
Yeah.
went completely off a cliff. And I don't follow them closely enough to know exactly what led to that. Was it obviously certain players left, like Joseph Martinez, he kind of faded away. Miguel Almiron went over to Europe. They had a few of their other like bright young players that they kind of struck on that went over to Europe, and then kind of like seems like the next wave of players where they try to kind of do something similar to what Nashville SC tries to do, where it's like you sell young players, reinvest in the next wave of young players. Seems like
Hmm.
a big thing has been that next wave of young players hasn't really hit. And then since then, they've taken some big swings on some like big players. Like I know they've got like a striker like I can't pronounce. I always pronounce his name so bad. It's like Latte Loth or Lapigloth or whatever. I
Hmm.
think he's like one of the highest transfer fees ever played in MLS history, and he's been a pretty big bust for them. Like at least I think
Yeah.
he's been okay, but he hasn't been like what you should get when you're paying the biggest transfer fee an MLS team's ever played. And then
Hmm.
Miguel Almiron has come back and he's been just okay. He's actually, I think he's injured. He's going to be out for this game against us. They brought
Yeah.
back Tata Martino, who was like their huge coach through like their golden era, and he hasn't quite been able to get the ship right. So yeah, it seems like a really bad time, like you said, you're with your friend to be an Atlanta United fan. But sometimes these are the games that scare me the most, where it's just like
Yeah.
I feel like as like a Titans fan over the years, like I feel like every team I love, like these are the games that are the scariest to me. It's like the games that should be just the easy games. That you're
Yeah.
the better team, clearly, you should win. We're coming off such a high of this huge win against Club America. Like I don't know what the team even looks like. Do we rotate again? Just because there's got to be some people with some tired legs coming off that match on Tuesday. Um, are we just too buzzing? Are we still hungover from whatever celebrations happened after that match?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are we overlooking Atlanta like that? Like I said, we're first in the East. We really haven't had that kind of dip, that kind of slip up that teams usually have when they're in Concacaf Champions Cup. So I think maybe somewhere along the way it would happen. I don't know if Atlanta's going to be the team to do it though. But they're like one win on the season, so like it would
Yeah.
be a pretty pretty poor result for Nashville SC, I'd say. So I think we get it done. I think we've seen enough that even when we rotate, we're still a pretty strong team. So
Yeah.
I'm expecting things. I'm always a little, like I said, these games for whatever reason make me just more nervous. I almost wish we were playing like, I don't know, like Cincinnati or like New York City FC or like a highly like a team that's like in the mix and just keep us going, like keep that momentum up, not like have that weird like trap game type thing. But
Yeah.
should be fun. Like it's weird. It's terrible timing. I'm going back to Georgia for some work stuff next week. I was like, can you send me down Saturday? Can you get me like a hotel? I'll go down to the game. And they're like, well, we don't need you down there till Tuesday. I'm like, God, those are jerks. It's like Ti. There's gonna be like a halftime performance from Ti. I'm like, oh, this would be like a great away day for
Yeah.
Nashville C fans. So, but they do have like I might like I'm gonna do like a bad timing. I should go before Nashville C and scout Atlanta in advance. Atlanta has like a midweek game next week, so I was like, I could
Mhm.
maybe go to the Atlanta game midweek while I'm there. I think they're playing like New England Revolution. I'm like, well, I'll go see Atlanta after we beat Atlanta and be like, oh, now I see it. I don't know, whatever. But like, yeah, I'm nervous about it just because I always get nervous about these games. But
Yeah.
it is a game that rotation or not, because I don't think it's gonna be like, because we don't have another CONCACAF Champions game till the 28th, so we've got a whole
Mhm.
week off after this game. So I don't think it'll be full rotation, but I could see like a few guys who maybe played the full 90, or obviously we saw Palacios and Reed Baker Whiting were kind of cramping up kind of towards the end of the match. So I could see like three or four guys maybe getting a little bit of rotation.
Yeah.
I would, I know Surge is listed as questionable for this game. I would just wrap him in bubble wrap. Don't bring him
Yeah.
back
Yeah.
for this one.
Yeah.
Like let's keep him safe until break glass if necessary. Like when we get back into the next round of Concacaf Champions Cup. But Mukhtar, Madrigal, I think we roll those guys out, and some of the other guys I think will be fine. So I would expect us to win, but like I've said it 3 times now, I think I'm pretty nervous about these type of games more than others.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. Because I remember last year, like I was talking so much shit to my friend before the game, just because
Worst.
we should have won, and then I think it was like 3-1 or 2-1 or something, and I just like I don't think I talked to anyone for 48 hours. I was like, how
Yeah.
did this happen? So that's the thing about soccer. I mean, anything could happen. Crazy things happen. Speaking of
Yeah,
crazy
I've got
things,
tomorrow, like speaking of like trash talking with your best friends. We got Manchester United tomorrow plays
mhm,
Chelsea. One of my best friends is a Chelsea fan, so we're going to go out to one of like the local places that show the soccer games here in Nashville together and watch the match together. And United's pretty right now comfortably ahead of Chelsea in the table
mm,
coming down the stretch for the Premier League season, but and they've been playing. Chelsea's been playing terrible lately, but Manchester United has between injuries and suspensions only one available like legitimate center back in their roster for tomorrow. So I'm like, I don't know. And he's like a 19-year-old who's only played like 10
yeah,
games. So I'm like, yeah, this is great. It's just this game that like 2 weeks ago was like, oh, we're gonna smoke Chelsea. I'm gonna talk so much shit, but now it's like, oh God, we have literally zero defenders left, and we have to somehow figure out how to do that. We're gonna be putting like a striker at center back or something like that. I don't know what the hell we're gonna do. We're gonna like pull like another like 12-year-old from the academy up or something like that. But yeah, it's always tough when like you got to play these sort of like local rivalries where your buddy's a friend of
yeah.
another team than yours, and it's like I don't want to be on the wrong side of this one. It's like it's just
uh, yeah, but yeah, it's so fun, but it makes being on the losing side so hard of that. Speaking of losers, DC United lost to my local team, one Knoxville
yeah.
SC in the Open Cup. This was our first. They called it our first win against an MLS team, but it's also the first time we ever played one. So that's
Mm.
kind of like it's like okay, you can say that, but
Undefeated against MLS teams. That's the way they should sell. It's
it,
like we've never lost to an MLS team.
exactly. We were down like I think like 2-0 or something. I don't have
Mhm.
the subscription to watch it. And then One Knox scored 2 goals in 3 minutes to tie it up, and then it went to 3-3 somehow, and then penalty shootout. Uh, my friend who is like he's like heavy into One Knocks. He called me right after. He's like, "Dude, I cannot believe." He's like, "I don't think I've ever screamed that loud after a
Mhm.
game." It just seems like they fought pretty hard for it. And I told him leading up to it, I mean, DC United, like, if you guys are gonna be an MLS team, it's probably gonna be DC United.
Mhm.
Um, they drew Columbus next for another away game. I was like, that one's gonna be a bit tougher, probably. They're still not super hot this season. I think DC is actually above them in standings, but I feel like they have a better kind of foundation more than DC a little bit. So congrats to the One Knox boys. That's a huge win. Um, and I'm hoping that they keep moving forward.
Yeah, it's one of the few things I kinda miss about, like, the, Nashville SC USL days, and
Hmm.
certainly wish I would have been around for like even the earlier days of Nashville, like FC and like the PDL early days. Those
Yeah,
matches like this where you could just come up against a team that, like, even if it's a DC United compared to like who's nothing in MLS right now, compared to like one Knox who's like third division, I think technically in the US structure. To get a win like that, it's crazy. I remember Nashville SC in their USL era beat like Colorado Rapids one time
hmm,
in the USL Open Cup. So just like beating the most team, it's just like it's almost like winning a trophy when you're at that level. So it's like such a cool feeling, especially because like when you're the fan base is a little bit smaller, it's a lot more
yeah,
intimate. Like like you like kind of what you're talking about, like meeting like the Rhode Island players. Like I'm sure like there's like players who like were like at the bar that night with like fans of One Knox, like we're all drinking together, like we're all celebrating this one together. It's like it's a
yeah,
cooler, just different atmosphere. And it is pretty cool because like the U.S. Open Cup kind of got stripped down there for a couple years with like when they were trying to figure out how to balance it with all the other new competitions and stuff like that and COVID stuff and all that. So it's still obviously there's a limited number of MLS teams that are in it now,
yeah,
but it's still cool that it's kind of bouncing back a little bit now the last like 2 maybe 3 years, and you get to see these type of moments, which is almost like to the benefit of um, teams like One Knox and the USL level teams, is because like the way they do it now where it's like essentially the bottom tier MLS teams are the ones that they put in the US Open Cup. Kind of
hmm,
opens the door a little bit more for these little upsets and cup sets, but that, like I said, I don't think anybody in One Knox is going to be like, we just beat DC United. It's not that big of a deal. They're gonna be like, we fucking beat DC United. This is
yeah,
sick. I can't believe we beat DC United. That dude over there probably makes like $500,000, and I'm just like flipping burgers when I get done with this game. So suck my balls. We beat you guys.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I saw that. Like there's people tweeting about it online. Like, and I got to tune in just in time to see the end of the penalty shootout, which was kind of crazy. It was like guys like, wow, this is awesome. And I knew it was local to you, being a Knoxville guy up there. So I was like, that's a cool little story. And they go to Columbus next. Columbus just lost like their best player to a torn ACL, so
Mm,
it could be another one where they're just like, we don't want to risk it, lose anybody else in the Open Cup. Here,
yeah.
take it One Knox. You never know.
I
Could be another opportunity for them with that matchup.
my friend was he's a big like into watching One Knock, so he like is more familiar with USL. But he was saying he's like, yeah, dude, this is the best that we've ever played. Like he it's the difference in fields, I guess, is what he was explaining to me. He's like watching USL games at home because they share their stadium with the Knoxville Smokies, which is like the AAA or AA affiliate, whatever it
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that's basically what Nashville SC did. They played at the Sound
yeah,
Stadium their first couple of years. Yeah.
he said that it's like super quick passing all the time. It's like it's very like kind of like high school field vibes.
Mhm. Yeah.
And then he
Yep.
said they go and get out on like an MLS pitch and they can actually like kind of be patient and hold it a little bit longer. And so he thinks that he's like, it's a bit of an advantage in a way of playing away. Plus we have to because uh both games have lined up with Smokies games and they're like, we're gonna give it to baseball. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, we don't have an MLS team coming into town, but that's just
Mm.
a really cool, kind of interesting tidbit that he was sharing with me.
Yeah, when I was growing up playing soccer here in Nashville, I called like the high school level at least. Almost every team played on the high school football team. There wasn't like
Mm,
very many schools that had like their own soccer field.
yeah.
And so like but the first like real soccer field I played on, at least at the high school level, even like some of the even the teams schools that had like their own field, it wasn't like anything close to like what you see at like the high level. But like we played Lipscomb, which is like, there's a Lipscomb
Hmm.
University and then there's like a Lipscomb High School. And when I was in high school, Lipscomb High School got to play on the Lipscomb University soccer field. And when we played there, I was like, this is like the biggest field I've ever played on my life. I don't even know how to play. Like I would be so exhausted after the game because it was so much bigger. You'd have to like
Yeah.
run so much more. But it's like to your point, it's like you have more space to run into. Like you get the ball and you turn kind of turn. You're like, oh, everybody's like 20 yards away from me. They're not right on top of me like they normally are. And it was crazy. Like for like me as like a high schooler being like playing on the tiniest little cramped football fields and then going
Yeah.
to like this mammoth field and just being like, oh my god, there's so much space here. This is insane.
Yeah.
It's like doing that at like the next level up, and even crazier.
Yeah. It's little stuff like that is just so cool and interesting to me. Um, High schools build soccer fields. Come on now.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot better. Like I, between coaching and ref in like the last 10 or so years, there's more often than not, most schools are starting to get their own soccer field. So it's come a long way from
Nice.
when I was in high school back in the I'm not gonna say what time that was. That was too long ago. But yeah, soccer's come a long way.
uh, yeah. Um, and then also in the MLS news, Inter Miami's head manager, head coach resigned. In very big quotation marks, resigned. Um, I mean, I don't think anyone thinks that like it was as great as just him resigning. What was your thoughts on it? I mean, I know they've done bad, but like, what do you think's going down there?
I mean, it's one of those weird ones where like it's not too surprising, but at the same time, it is a little surprising because it's especially just given who it was. Like, Javier Mascherano has like a long time relationship with Lionel Messi. They were longtime teammates for both Barcelona and the Argentina national team. So you think there's like a pretty tight connection there. And they literally just won MLS Cup like whatever it was, like 4 months ago. So it's not like they're, have this history of being disastrous and having trouble or whatever. But they're definitely one of those teams where the money they're spending, the investments they're making, they want to uh, get their money's worth out of every game. It's like there's teams in
Yeah.
Europe that are that way where it's like we're going to fire the coach if they're in second place type stuff. And I did read some stuff where like I'm sure it wasn't like a straight up resignation. I'm sure there was a little bit of more of a we don't really want you, you don't. But like, there was some stuff like where he had already kind of been at odds with like the team because like the striker they signed from Mexico that they made their new designated player, like apparently like that was not somebody Mascherano wanted. He didn't think he fit their style of play, but that was
Mm,
the one that the club pushed through. And I know the guy that is taking over is a guy who essentially was almost like handpicked by Messi and kind of like snuck in the back
mm,
door and slowly brought up like he was brought in like a kind of academy developmental role and then kind of slowly worked his way up into being like an assistant on the first team. So it was almost like as much as
yeah.
Mascherano seems like he'd be a handpicked Messi guy, the tea leaves seem to seem like this is a guy that Messi was really like because I think I saw a quote that like Messi had described this new coach they have, which I don't know his name off the top of my head, but like I think there was a one point in time Messi said this guy is my footballing father. Like he's taught me so much
Mm,
about the game. So like this is like Mascherano is just his buddy that he played with. This
yeah.
guy is actually like who Messi looks at and goes, "This guy taught me so much." It was almost like a snuck him in the back door and just waited for the right moment. And like I think Fabrizio Romano had a report
Fabrizio.
today that they're going to roll with that guy. It's not like just an interim hire. They're going to
Yeah.
give that guy every chance to prove he deserves to be the full time head coach, which definitely seems like there's a little bit of a messy pulling the strings on that one type thing
Yeah.
from everything I've read about that too. And but it's there also was some reports that like the real discontent really started to fall apart after the Nashville SC result because that was their big thing this year was we've won all the other stuff. We have to win Champions Cup this year.
Yeah.
And they get knocked out by Nashville SC. And I even read some stuff that said like some of the ownership or leadership of the team was kind of like, how did we lose to Nashville SC? We smoked them last year in the playoffs. What's going on? What are y'all doing? Like it was almost like a looking down on Nashville SC a little bit, being like, this
Yeah.
team, this is the team that beat us. But we have a weird like track record history of coaches getting fired
Yeah, yeah.
shortly
Yeah.
or immediately after playing us. We might add the Club America coach to our hit list, but like there's been several coaches over the Nashville SC history where lose to Nashville SC, get fired. It wasn't directly immediately after, but it definitely seems like there was
Yeah.
some of the Nashville SC trickle down effect where it's like, because that was their big goal this year was to win that tournament and to get knocked out by a team that they've pretty much owned, for the last, 4 or 5 years, whatever it's been. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, this isn't what we expected. This isn't what we paid for.
Yeah, I think like my main thing looking at it was just, they just came off winning Leagues Cup and we're 7 game or like 7 to 8 games into the season if you're not counting competition. Like y- I don't think most teams fire someone after that. Like I think there was maybe Messi pulling strings, maybe uh, the hot seat got too hot. I don't know. Or well, he resigned, so it wasn't that they fired him. But I just thought that it was super weird, super odd timing, considering that we're so early coming off of a championship season. But we'll have to see if more development comes out about that.
Yeah, I think also like, this is just complete speculation and just kind of like thinking through things. There probably is a degree to which like I hate to diminish MLS, but like, I'm sure, this is a dude who's played at the highest levels as a player, and
Mhm.
he might have even like just felt like I'm just here as a coach in Miami as a favor to Messi, and like if the team's not like team's giving me grief, if the team's putting me under pressure, if they're threatening me, like
Yeah.
why am I doing this for an MLS job? Like I remember like Thierry Henry like was pretty successful here as a coach, and then just kind of was like I don't really want to. Nah, I've done enough. I don't really want to do MLS anymore. So I could totally see a scenario where like he did resign, but it was kind of like a what am I doing this for? Like I just did this because my buddy asked me to do it. I'm
Yeah.
not I don't need this scrutiny. I don't need this extra crap. I'm like one of the most successful players. I've won everything. I don't need to be here. Y'all go hire whoever you want. I'll just go back to wherever he lives, Barcelona or Argentina, and live on a mansion somewhere and just drink sangria all day. I don't need to do this crap.
Yeah. No, that's also not a bad guess either. We don't know what happened, and we probably will never. Um, another kind of facet moving away from soccer a little bit. NBA playoffs start tomorrow.
Mm,
The last spot for the play-in is actually playing right now at time of recording. Warriors versus Suns. Warriors 45-50 Suns. So that's going to be fun to watch. I'm going to be super locked into that, and we'll give updates weekly on how that's going. I think that we're gonna see. Oh, I don't know who to predict. Do you have an early prediction that you want to throw out for the NBA championships this year?
I mean, it sounds like from just like the limited like my limited kind of outsider looking in following of the NBA, it seems like, Oklahoma City's pretty solid again, coming off of, dominant
Yeah.
run last year for the most part. Um, seems like Denver, I know a lot of people are liking Denver, like Jokic just kind of seemed like to bounce back to his best form.
Hmm.
Um, it seems like everybody else is kind of like, I know the Knicks, did the Knicks end up first? I know they were pretty high up in the East, but it's kind of like, I don't know. The Knicks just seem like that
Yeah.
team that always gets their fan base's hopes up and just never gets it done. But Celtics seem like they're back. I like the Celtics. Like their coach is insane. I like their coach, Joe Mazzulla. I think he's like a
Yeah.
lunatic, and I kind of like that about him.
The
But
Situation Room simulation.
yeah, I like him a lot. And so like him like being like into MMA and like watching The Town every day and some of the stuff that's come out about him.
Yeah.
It's like that. You're just a crazy person. But and
Uh,
then I know they've gotten like some of their best players back healthy, so they could be interesting. I don't know.
mhm.
I did like one of the crazier things, and this is just something I heard on like a podcast earlier today, is that like some of the way that like the play-in tournament has ended up, where it's like because of like the trade with Paul George like years ago, the Thunder keep getting all the Clippers like top picks.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so now they're in a scenario where they might like end up with like the number one overall pick next year that they have still coming in from the Clippers. or even if not the number one pick, like still like a top 5 pick at least. And they're like the best team in the league, and they just keep getting these great picks from this terrible trade the Clippers made with them years ago.
Okay,
It's like that's
the OKC front office is just insanely ridiculous.
yeah. Yeah, whatever whoever's doing that needs to like every other like sports league needs to like find out how to like tap into that guy's brain because to pull like obviously like I don't follow the NBA that closely, but just like you've built like your entire roster of like superstars basically off like trading one guy who's kind of like seems like he's good enough player but is mostly injured and I don't see, he's like already been traded off to another team even like because I don't think he's on the Clippers anymore, right? He's already on like
He,
Philadelphia and he's injured there
yeah,
too, I think.
yeah, he hasn't.
So
I
it's
haven't.
like
I can't tell you the last time he's played.
wait, this might be like this will go up there with like the old this one will date me, but like the well, I can't remember who it was, but there was a famous like terrible trade in the NFL where who was that? I don't know, whatever. Yeah, it seems like it's one of the worst trades ever, just from like what I've heard about it. It's like, and they're still somehow reaping the benefits of it. It's like,
Yeah,
oh my god, like you're like the best team in the league, and because of this terrible trade, you might get like another star player in somehow, even be even better.
they have such an eye for that like young talent, and then they also have a great team to develop that young talent. It's super
Hmm.
impressive. I will predict my realistic prediction would be OKC. And then my sneaky prediction, I'm gonna go with the Spurs.
Mm, mm. Yeah, that could be a cool one. I know they seem like to be kind of getting back to being somewhat of like the old Spurs, where it's like they've got the superstar guy in Wimby, and everybody else is just fundamentally sound, and they've got good coaching, good stuff, and can kind of just grind out wins and kind of
Yeah,
take care of business.
I saw a video today where Greg Popovich like popped in and said hey to everyone at practice today. So that was cool. I love to see him, staying healthy. He's old,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So was your prediction also OKC?
yeah. I guess I probably would just go with them. It's one of those. They seem like they're still flying off of last year, so it's kind of when you're that good and you're proving it, you kind of got to stick with them until somebody not stay on top of the mountain until somebody knocks you off it. I guess.
I think they'll kind of like teeter tatter on finals over the next couple years. You watched The Boys after our last episode. I haven't got to
Yeah,
see
it
episode
did.
3 yet, but what was your thoughts on episode 1 and 2?
I liked a lot of it, but there was definitely some stuff where I feel like, and this happens with a lot of shows where it's like when it's going to be the last season, you kind
Hmm.
of hit the fast forward button a little bit. Like one thing that one thing that just super annoyed me is that the what is her name, Kamiko, the one
Yeah,
character,
yeah, yeah.
the
Korean.
so she's been mute. She's been mute throughout the entire history of the show.
Hmm.
Uh, And, like, then in, like, this season, just
Just
spoilers, obviously, like, anybody who hasn't watched The Boys, but, like, she's first episode, she's just, like, talking, like, she's fully normal talking like a normal person,
yeah.
and I think, like, the explanation they gave in the show was like, "Oh, I've been watching a lot of TikTok videos," or something like that. It was like, "I learned how to speak from watching TikTok videos," and it's like, I could just totally see, like, the behind the scenes of, like, that actress probably being like, "You haven't let me do anything for 4 years. This is, like, the last season. You
Yeah.
gotta let me actually show more of what I can actually do as an actress and stuff like that. And they're kind of like, okay. And then they just kind of had to hit fast forward, like, we got too much going on this season. We don't really have time for like a whole episode explaining how you learned how to talk. So just boom, TikTok. She learned how to talk from TikTok. I was like, that felt a little rushed or whatever. And there was a couple other little things like that that felt like they're having to rush stuff just because it is the last season. They're trying to get through
Yeah.
stuff, and it's like, but little minor quirks. It was still entertaining. So like, I always I feel weird criticizing this part of it because this is almost like the opposite of something I hate. Like I always hate when TV shows do the thing where it's like we got to split the whole group up,
Yeah.
then they got to fight their way to get back together. And so like last season ended like obviously with like half of the boys, half the group getting put in prison,
Hmm.
and then I was like, but they broke them out way too fast, which I'm like of two minds. Like I want the group to get back together, but I'm like
Yeah.
that was like the big cliffhanger was like they're all getting put in this like prison camp, and it's like, oh, we broke them out in like the first like 30 minutes. It's like, okay, well here we go. But like at the same time, it's like I would have been annoyed if it took like 4 episodes. I'm like, God, I just want to see all the people back together again. So it's little quibbles, but I enjoyed it overall. It's enough. And but it's I think we kind of talked about this even before I watched it last week. It is s- way harder to watch now than like the first couple seasons where it's like so reflective of like real world stuff that's like not great, and it's like, oh, ugh. To like see like the kind of real world stuff played in more of like a satirical world. It's kind of like, oof,
Yeah.
this was a lot fun. This was a lot funnier when like it wasn't really happening in real life. So that part of it's a little like, whew. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's still good. It's still entertaining. I'm looking forward to seeing where all they go with it.
They do a great job at taking what was written in the comics and changing it to reflect more, which it could still be like that in the comics and and in the comics and the world it's just gotten comic booky villainy. But if it's not like that in the comics, they've done a great job of that. I started watching Invincible. I don't know if you have seen that at all. I started watching the
I
first
watched
season.
I watched the first season, and I'd read the whole comic book series on that one, and
Cool.
the show itself, like more so than the boys and more so than a lot of stuff, it pretty much is like a straight up like adaptation of the
Yeah.
comic. So it was one of those where like I kind of knew what was happening. And I liked it. It was really well done. But like it's one of those where like sometimes like when those shows have such long gaps between seasons,
Mhm.
if it's not something I'm just like die hard hooked into, it takes me. I don't always jump right back into it. And like Invincible is one that kind of got away from me, where I was like, well, I kind of
Yeah.
already know what's happening, and it's been like a year and a half or whatever, and I was watching like probably 20 other things, so never got back into it after like season one. But it was really good. I really liked season one, but like I said, it was kind of pretty much just like a straight up adaptation of the comic, so I kind of
Yeah.
knew everything that was happening every step of the way. So it's which is it's one of those terrible things. One of the things like where I was going back and forth about, do I want to watch like Project Hail Mary if I'm going to read the book,
Mhm.
like when you've read something like a comic book or a book,
Yeah.
especially stuff that's like very dependent on like big twists. Like there's obviously like a huge twist in the Invincible story, and there's a ton. The more it goes, there's more twist. But if you already know what the big twist is, it's kind of like
Yeah.
you kind of lose some of the luster and some of the specialness of it. It's like if you go into the Sixth Sense knowing what the twist is, you're like, oh, this movie's not that great. It's just it's just this dumb guy the whole time. What does he not know? Does he not know what's wrong with him? He's an
Yeah.
idiot.
Fair enough. Yeah. And
So
go ahead, sorry.
no, I was just saying it's like it's one of the downfalls of kind
Y-
of stuff you love getting adapted is like if it has those key moments that really are like the big hook of the show or the hook of the story, it's kind of like if you already know it, it's like it's almost like you maybe should have changed it. Maybe you should have made somebody else like be
Yeah.
the one just to make it more entertaining. But at the same time, it's like way more people I'm sure are watching the show than have ever read the comic book. So there's like way more people who are getting the
Yeah.
twist now and be like, holy crap, that's insane.
Yeah, and they may deviate, I don't know. But like after season 1 they may switch it up. Neither of us know. Uh but
Yeah.
I've turned into one of those people that have, as I've been reading more, I read the book and then go watch the movie or TV series, and I've unfortunately turned into one of those, the book is better people that I made fun of for so many years. But most of the time it's true. I don't know if you saw this,
Yeah.
Matt. I'm a defender of the MCU, and
Hmm.
I like superhero movies. But this Infinity Vision shit is so dumb. Have you seen what this is?
Yeah, it seemed like it was like I didn't read too much of it, but it seemed like it was like 100% like definitely tied to like them not getting the IMAX
Yeah,
screens because of Dune. So like they're having to like I mean, because they're not building new theaters, so they have to be just like rebranding existing theaters and trying to make it sound cooler than
that,
it is to try to be like, well, we know it's not IMAX, but it's Infinity Vision, and it's like, well, is this just like the we're just gonna take the extra theater and like say it's the Infinity Vision theater. We're gonna make it a little
yeah.
bit louder, and maybe there's it's like it was kind of it definitely like as soon as I saw it, like I didn't read too much about it, but I was like, this
It,
is because especially because they're like it's gonna debut with Avengers Doomsday, and I was like,
they're
this
gonna
is because
debut it with
you didn't get the
Endgame.
IMAX screen. Yeah, yeah, they're gonna re-release Endgame, and then
Yeah,
the first full one's Doomsday. It's like This is because you didn't get the IMAX screens
It
because of Dune. So
it felt very playgroundy, like, "Hey, can I join your club?" "No." "Well, I'm just gonna go make
yeah,
my own." And
yeah,
there's also a whole situation where it's like, um, if it is something that isn't just because the way that they worded it did make it seem like the thing that, you said, where it's, like, kind of just approving already made, like, theater rooms, like, not necessarily building something completely new. But
yeah,
even then, like, I really don't want Disney to have, like, approval and denial over a bunch of, different theaters of what they can and can't show in this Infinity Fission.
yeah,
Like, I think
yeah,
Disney already controls enough, we shouldn't let them have that. Also, just a stupid name, I hate it.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't even think about that part of it. That it is kind of a weird thing for one of the studios to control like an actual potential chunk of like screens and be like, you can't put Jumanji on this one. We're putting
Yeah.
Moana 2 on it or something like that. It's like it's a little kind of weird. It's definitely see it. It is kind of interesting. Like I would love. There's got to be like a. I'd love to hear like an oral history or like a book about like how the Dune versus Avengers thing went down because like obviously you're a huge Dune fan, but I mean if you just kind of look at like the track record like box office wise, just from a like looking at it from the outside, you'd think like, oh, IMAX would definitely like the theaters would definitely want the Avengers on IMAX because like it's whatever second only to Avatar in like terms of like box office. And so I
Yeah.
don't know if like that's just a testament to like how big of a dip the recent MCU has been that they're like, yeah, your time's over. We're ready for the new hotness to take over. What really happened kind of behind the scenes to that fight over that date and who would get the screens. But that's
From
I
my
think there's just
understanding,
some
it was just a timely
yeah,
thing, a timely and paperwork thing. It had nothing to really do with the what would perform better, I don't think. Um, but yeah, also, I mean, it's taken such a dip, like you were saying. I mean, Dune 3, mm, I mean, it'll, I don't know. I don't know if I'll say that it would outperform Doomsday, but it would probably be closer than a lot of people would think. I think. I'm more excited for a brand new day. There's a bunch of
yeah,
Doomsday. They showed like the trailer at, I think it's called like CinemaCon or something.
hmm hmm
But it hasn't been released to the public, and I don't know if you went through the details that was leaked about that. I I don't know. It's just like there's a lot riding on Doomsday being good. If Doomsday is bad,
yeah,
I think they're taking a lot of big swings with Steve Rogers being back, fucking
hmm
Robert Downey Jr. being Doom. With he has an accent in the trailer, by the way, so it's like
mm,
I think we're gonna. I think it's just so dumb. It's so dumb. It's so mind boggling. I'm I'm not excited, but I'm trying to keep my expectations kind of realistic. I'll go see it and I will talk crap about
oh
it
yeah,
until then. But Spider-Man Brand New Day looks sick. Um,
yeah. I think one of the more interesting things that came out of that CinemaCon thing was I think it was I think it was Kevin Feige who said that in and I don't know if this might just be like the first scene he's talking about. I don't know, but he
mhm.
said that Doomsday is going to pick up exactly where
Yeah,
Endgame left
yeah,
off, which is like, well, we know like Shang-Chi and like some of these other characters that have been introduced in the subsequent time are in the movie. So
mhm.
like we're not just completely erasing that like little stretch of films, but it's so it could be just a thing of like maybe when he says it picks up right where Endgame left off, he's just literally saying like, "Oh, it's going to start with Steve Rogers dancing with Peggy,"
I
and
think
then he's
that's
going to be like,
what.
"Oh my God, I got to go be Captain America again," and then it just jumps into the action and picks up everything from there. It's maybe not just like a literal. It's set exactly right after it for the whole movie. It's more just like it that the first scene is like
Yeah,
right when Captain and Peggy are dancing, and then he's like, it's like Back to the Future where it's like this is the end of the movie, and then all of a sudden the time machine comes flying, and it's like, oh, we got to go do it again. It's like,
yeah.
oh no, type thing. So, but I was like, that's kind of weird. I was like, we've had like 30 movies and like new characters, and we're just gonna be like, oh, well, forget about that. But that's why I was the more I thought about it, I was like, it's probably not a literal thing where it's like the entire
Yeah.
movie is just directly after Endgame. It's probably just like this is where we start, and then we catch up with everything else.
I'm in this like
But I'm
big.
excited about it. Like I'm huge into like the old X
Mhm.
Men, so getting to see all those guys come back and kind of, I'm pretty sure it's probably just like one last hurrah for them, and they're going to be
Yeah.
wiped from existence, and they'll set up whatever the new rebooted X Men that'll be coming in eventually will be. But it'll be cool to see like them one last time. I was just geeking out about James Marsters and like the clips they released earlier this year
Yeah.
where he's in the comic book accurate Cyclops costume for the first time.
It
It's
looks
like,
so
yeah, it's gonna
sick.
be. This is like the movie might be terrible, but they're definitely gonna know how to like grab at the
Yeah.
strings of certain comic book things and make it go, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm in this like huge uh like group chat full of people just from around the world who like the only thing we do is talk movies and TV, and like we've all just been arguing about Marvel all day and this new stuff. Um I think when he says that, Kevin Feige says that, I think it's just to see Steve Rogers and explain why he's back, and then we'll get like a time jump or something. I don't think we're gonna just erase all the things that have happened
Mhm,
with like the Thunderbolts and stuff like that. But I'm super excited. The Cyclops scene that you're talking about is looks insane. I recently have gotten like super into X-Men. I've been watching the X-Men 97 show on Disney Plus, and it's really
mhm,
cool. I like Cyclops a lot. Uh, I know Gambit is gonna be in Doomsday because he's
mhm.
was a part of those like trailer leaks of him fighting. I forgot who he was fighting, like Thor or something for some
I
reason.
think so, yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm super excited for it, nervous for it. I'll be there whenever it plays.
Hmm. I'm kind of hoping, like, I know there was like some speculation about like them maybe moving the time, and I think maybe now that they're doing the infinity screen thing, that's kind of maybe a sign they're not going to like change dates because. I mean, I know it's been talked about a lot, but I think it definitely has the potential to be like the second coming of Barbenheimer, where like everybody goes sees both
Doomsday,
movies at the same time. Like because I'll definitely do that. I'll do Doomsday. I'll do both
yeah,
movies back to back because that was like it'll be kind of weird because like they're definitely like have a little more similarities than Barbie and Oppenheimer. That was one of the things
yeah,
that was like kind of
yeah.
funny about Barbenheimer was like these movies could not be any different from each other, but they were so fun to just like I'm gonna go do the thing where I see them both in the same day. So, but it's still it'd be like I want to see both movies. Why not just see them both at the same time?
It
Give
yeah
me a Saturday. I'll do both.
it yeah. I'm excited. It's gonna be. I've thought about it so much doing the Doomsday marathon, but I just know Dune's gonna be like 3 hours long. Doomsday is probably gonna be 3 hours
Yeah.
long. So it's like it's such a daunting task, but I am excited for it. Um, well, I think that's all I have for this week, Matt. Do you have anything else?
I don't think so. I think we kind of hit all the big talking points and some of the smaller talking points too.
Sweet. Come on, you boys in gold against Atlanta. Let's get that win. Uh, check me out. Dylan tries to read on TikTok and YouTube. Uh, posting more there, trying to. Yeah. Thanks, Matt. If you want to go ahead and plug yourself.
Yeah. Uncle Matt on YouTube had some new videos come out recently from some stuff we've been doing around the Nashville area, me and Jessa. And like I said, I'm going to Atlanta the week after we play Atlanta. So maybe I'll have a Atlanta United vlog, not at a Nashville SC game, but who knows? We'll see what happens there. But yeah, I've been talking about on the channel over there. But me and Jess have some travel and some vacation stuff also coming up. So should be a lot of cool stuff popping up over there on the Uncle Mad YouTube channel. And then I'm on social media too. It's always Uncle Mad 2Ds, sometimes underscore, sometimes not. So
Cool.
find
Thank.
me.
Thank you guys for checking out this week's episode. All of our links are obviously in the description. Um, let's go. Thank you guys.